Hey guys, how you doing today? This is another Geek Out with Gunther. I am Gunther. Today we'll be interviewing Rich from Gaming and Still Life. He was on the other day, and now it's time to learn a little bit more about him. So let's see how this works out. How you doing, Rich?
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. So this is our first interview with you. Maybe
Yes,
we'll have plenty of more. So what are you up
Looking
to?
forward to it.
Yeah, right. So what are you up to? What are you doing?
Well, basically, I just got home from work, and I'm getting ready to probably do another show for my channel here tonight.
Another show? You already got like what, 2 out today?
No, well, yeah, probably two.
Yeah. What are you gonna be doing?
But I mean, I want to be ahead because the further I'm ahead, and I have at least stuff taped, then all I have to do is go back and edit. And right now, I'm behind.
Yeah. Well, I know that feeling. Back in the day, I used to, produce YouTube channels and whatnot. I still kind of do a little bit here and there. But now I'm moved on, and I'm doing podcasts and building websites and doing graphic art designs for people and whatnot. So, you were playing a new game. Let's hear about this new game. What game are you playing?
It's called Dead and Buried. It's a sidearm Western type of shooter, and it's told from the story of an old guy telling his grandchild what it was like in the old days. So the story starts out like you have a gun, and then he changes his story like however he wants, and the kid like picks up on it, but it's the old man's story. So what can you do?
Hey, that sounds interesting. Are the graphics good, or is it more of like a mellow kind of graphics? Or
Very cartoony, and I think a lot of these VR companies are reusing a lot of the assets because you know that really big buff guy that you see like in a lot. I think there's a way that you can like share and buy assets, and that guy appears in it. And he's one of the one of the fodder when they're running, like they run at you like all crazy with their arms up, and they have like helmets on. So you have to shoot the helmet off first before you can shoot him in the head. And it's very cartoony, and there's like it's like old Western style where there's like people in the upper part of the rancher-looking homes, and they're shooting you from there, and there's like tons of them. And you can even shoot the bullets. The bullets look like ping pong balls coming at you, but you can shoot them at too. Or you can hit the bullets out of the way with your gun. It's pretty neat. Somebody recommended and they wanted me to review it a while back, but the only reason I got it is because it's only $7.49 right now on the Oculus Store.
On the Oculus Store? So
yes.
Can people get in Steam, or do they have to use Revive?
No. I actually saw it on sale on Steam, but it's $1 more on Steam. And since I have the Oculus Rift and I have a Samsung Odyssey, so I just decided to get the $1 cheaper.
That's smart, and it's designed more for the Rift. And the Rift is a good device. I don't have one personally, but I've used it a couple times, and I got friends besides you that use the Rift and love it and have nothing bad to say about it.
Revive if I want to play on my Odyssey, and
yeah.
That's another cool thing, just because I get to, for $7.50, hey, I get to make a whole video. I get to tell a game that people are kind of interested in, and maybe they'll get it, maybe they won't. So far, my first instinct, I only got to play it for a few minutes before we got on tonight, because I wanted to see what it was like. My first instinct is my trigger fingers are going to be hurting, because there's no automatic. There's just like pull. Every pull is one bullet, and when you got a game where you're firing like hundreds of bullets, that can get very tiring on the fingers. So let's see how it is once I start playing it a little more.
So I got a question for you real quick. When did
Sure.
you got started in VR? And well, tell me what got you started in VR, and what made you want to play in VR?
Watching Epic's 911 videos. Like, he was the first one that I started watching in the beginning, and he was the first one that I was like, wow, this is kind of a neat thing, and I wanted to experience it, and I got the PlayStation VR first, when it first came out.
So you got a what was it, 2016, right?
I know it was like 6 months after the regular. I think the Oculus and the Vive came out in March of 2016. I want to say, if I'm correct. Am I right on that one?
I
And
think so.
then the PlayStation one came out like 6 months later, towards the holiday season of that year,
Yeah. Well,
if I remember correctly.
I remember when I got my VR. I've done VR in the past, and I've tried it here and there. And I worked in the mobile industry. I tried the whole Samsung Gear VR. Totally did not like that. I hated that experience. Then I tried it out, and my buddy told me like he got one, and he kept talking about nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. And he said, "You need to get one." I'm like, "Well, I'm not gonna go drop like $3,000, buy a gaming computer, uh, and the whole setup and shebang." But I got the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation VR, and I fell in love with it. So I get your point, and what made you want to move on to even better things like the mixed reality, and then you even moved on from that to the Rift, correct?
Well, I didn't like my PlayStation VR. Like, when I got rid of my PlayStation VR, I was like at the state of mind that I was never going to get another VR headset again, because like the games would make me sick, like physically sick. Like, I only played Resident Evil for maybe half an hour, and then I had to put it down. It was a great game, but I couldn't play it for long. Project, or what was it called? The racing game, Drive Club, VR. It was a cool looking game, kind of blurry, but it would make me sick.
Oh yeah, that I
And
tried that game. It was like $20, I think it was, and I got it.
yeah,
It took a while. Once after I played it for a while, I started like my body started cooling down, so I wasn't like whoa, too much movement. I enjoyed it a lot. The graphics
but
were
it was
the
the first
graphics could have been
batch of
better.
games coming out, and I don't know, I didn't like it, and a lot of the games seemed very like almost like demos and stuff. And the only game that I thought was kind of cool was the shooting one, made by the ones that do the horror game. I forget what it's called. Rush of Blood. That game.
Rush of
Where you're
Blood.
going down like the roller, the Ferris carnival ride. Yeah, and that was a really cool game. But I was just like, you know what, VR is not for me, and I got rid of it. And until later on, I started getting excited about building a PC, because I started watching a lot of YouTube, and people were like, oh, building a PC, this and that, and I wanted to really build a PC. And in November of last year, I put together some parts for PC, and then I built my first PC. And with that, after I built my first PC, I was like, you know what? This new Windows mixed reality thing's coming out, and it doesn't use any cameras. And I'm like, wow, and I have a thing for Samsung phones. I love Samsung, and they were coming out with their version, the premium version of Windows mixed reality headsets called the Odyssey, and that really tweaked my interest. And when I saw the specs on it, and I saw that you didn't need any camera stations or nothing like that, all you needed was the headset and the controllers, and it works with Windows 10. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it. It was $500, and I took a chance and I bought it, and I got it like around toward the end of November. And ever since, I even started my own YouTube channel. I liked it so much.
Yeah. So you've been doing the VR for a little bit. You did the PlayStation VR. Now you've completely have had three different VR headsets now. So you're well
There's a
into
big
it.
difference between
Yeah.
PlayStation and computer
Oh,
VR.
oh yeah. So
Huge.
you're well into the VR now. You could say you're a weathered VR gamer. Now let's see. How much do you think you actually spend on games? How expensive is this hobby?
Actually, it's cheaper than when I had my PlayStation hobby, because on there, like, every game is $60. I mean, there's no in between. What I would do, like everybody else used to do, is buy a game and then eventually take it back and go to a GameStop and trade it in and get another game. Maybe buy like another $60 game or get some used games, and I would go on like that. But after a while, it's just got too expensive. So after a while, I decided to get them from Best Buy because they have a buyer's club discount over there, and you can get, I think, I don't know if I remember, it was 20% off or something like that, and you can get like $35 instead of paying the full 60. So I did that for a while, and then when I built my computer, now I was totally into Steam, and I don't really know much about like computer games except for my first one was Wolfenstein New Colossus. That's how I knew of a computer gamer. I just got into this recently. But ever since I started playing VR games, I don't want to ever really play any of the flat games. They're just not as interesting to me. But right now it seems like I'm getting to a point where all the good VR experiences, it seems like I'm already played them or experienced them, and there's not enough newer stuff really coming out. But, it's still a wait and see attitude. Not as much new stuff as when I first got into it. Because when I first got into it, everything was new.
Yeah, because when you first get into something, there's already usually a back order of stuff that you have not played because you have not had a chance. So what is the game you have enjoyed the most since you got into VR?
Oh, wow, there's been so many good experiences. I think Sprint Vector. Like I was talking about that the other day with you. I've enjoyed that one a lot. I think I just got so sick of the type of games where you have to shoot or swords in VR. It just really I really got sick of it. There's this new Brass Tactics game where you're like playing on a giant, like board and you're moving around your infantry and stuff like that. And I saw two players play today, and it's kind of cool where you could just like sit there and like just chat with somebody while you're moving all your like squadrons around, and who has a high ground, who has a low ground, and that seemed really interesting. That thrill of the fight, that game when you're playing against another PC, but he's like right in front of you, and he's like the same height as you, and he's just like this dude, for all intents and purposes, he could be real because he's right there, and I'm smacking him in the face. To me, it just looks like it's like a dude right there. I'm smacking him in the face, and he's smacking me back. And those are really cool experiences. Like, stuff like that is what gets me on. All that shooting zombies and shooting robots and or slicing them with a sword, I'm just not feeling it right now. But then again, I love games like Fallout VR. That's a cool game too. I can really get into that. And In Death, that was a really cool game because of it's like, I don't know, it's just so fluid in the way you could just go in and approach. The puzzle changes all the time, the way you can approach it and stuff like that. And that's a pretty smooth game. So there's been a lot of things that have caught my eye, but the problem is I don't have enough time to really like sit there and play because with the channel I'm always having to move on to new experiences, but I do it because I want to do it. I do it because I like to be able to, tweak people's interest, and it's just something that I do, and people ask me stuff all the time and I try to help them out the best I can. Somebody that's new at all this, but I want people to see that the Windows Mixed Reality headset is a really good headset in its own, and the Oculus Rift is a really good headset in the way it is, and I plan to one day maybe even get a Vive too.
Yeah, the Vive, I had the Vive personally. I love the Vive. I even love the PlayStation VR. They each have their niche in the VR community. They're all developing.
Or maybe the Pimax. Have you seen the Pimax?
I have.
That one looks pretty good, but I don't know what the price is going to be. That whole 200 field of view, that's a big difference. I mean, basically, when you're in that, as far as your eyes can see to the side, to the peripheral vision, and that's like everything. So, I mean, that's another. It's just that the contraption on your head is so big, and I think the price of entry for that thing is going to be like $800. So, and I truly believe that the one that's going to come out with the most innovative headset is whatever Oculus is doing next, because they're coming out with a technology where if I'm looking like at a butterfly that lands on the flower, in VR.
Yeah.
I'm looking at that, and that seemed like sharp image, but everything that I was looking at before is blurry. But the butterfly that I'm looking at is sharp on another plane, and I think that type of VR, what they're working on, an eye movement, like eye tracking, where if I'm speaking to somebody in VR and I'm like looking at you in the eye and they're looking at me, or like I can see the way their eyes move, kind of like how normal people eyes move. I think that right there is going to make VR to another level altogether. So the stuff that they're working on, that whole resolution stuff doesn't really matter to me. Not that much. Like what Vive is doing with the Vive Pro and stuff like that, it's not that big of a step, and it's nothing different than what I already have in my Odyssey.
Yeah.
Now, I'm more curious on what the next step for VR is going to be, and I think Oculus is the one that's going to have it.
We'll just have to wait and find out, because right now we don't know. All we know right now is Vive is coming out with the Pro version, and the Pro version is more targeted for the high-end niche community and businesses.
Oculus did tease something about their new, what's it called, Facebook 8 or 8, whatever, when they get together. And they tease something that something really big is coming. I don't know if it's their Oculus Go or if it's like a main, stream successor. But they said nothing in 2018 for the Oculus Rift. So I believe them. I think it's not going to come out until 2019, which is fine. I'm good with where I am right now with my Rift, and I'm good with where I am right now in my Odyssey. What I want is, I want some more stuff made specifically for VR.
Yeah.
And stuff like Sprint Vector, In Death, that is a step in the right direction. Make it so where it's not a zombie shooter. Make it to where it's something innovative. Experiment with like movement.
Yeah.
And right now, some of the best and newest experiences are coming out to PlayStation. They got a lot of great stuff in the pipeline that's coming out, which is great because eventually, for these companies to be successful, they have to release it not only on PlayStation, but on PC as well. And that's just logical.
Yeah, and I think in time it will come. So the next question I have for you is not so much VR. It's more actually about your YouTube channel that you've been working on here for, let's say, 3-4 months now.
Yeah.
What made you want to start it, and what equipment did you have when you first started?
What was the last part of the question?
What equipment did you use when you first started your YouTube channel? Because people out there might want to start doing YouTube or taking the step in or getting their toes wet. So what did you start off with, and what made you want to do it?
Well, I started out with my PC and basically my cell phone. And my cell phone, I would just record with it. I wasn't hooked up to the computer or nothing. I would just record with it. And for example, if I was playing so-and-so game, I would set I would have this like contraption that I used to rig it up, and like it would like tie to like a big table so that like my camera could sit up, and it's one of those like it has a clamp and it has like an arm on it that like you can like bend in different like directions and stuff. It's like a really cheap like cell to tape me in VR, and then I would use the phone to tape my monitor on my computer while I was doing stuff in VR. So, and this is before I learned how to be able to capture what was on my monitor. I didn't know how to do that. So the only thing I knew how to do was to set the camera further enough away to where it could see what's on the monitor as far as what I'm seeing in VR, plus it would try to catch what I was doing. I mean, that's just how I started. I didn't know any better. And then I found that the computer has something called shadow play, where if you put on shadow play, it will record whatever is playing on your desktop. So I figured out that I can record videos on my desktop, and now I can concentrate my phone to record just me doing whatever I was doing, while I was in VR, and then put that window in for me on whatever the phone picked up, and put that in the small box, and then in editing put it together. And then sometimes I would even have the recording of my voice a whole different track. Now when you do it that way, that's like the way to do it.
Yeah.
That is, it's way more time consuming. Way more time consuming to do it like that, because now you're having to use 3 different recordings and then putting them all together post-processing. But now what I do is I have a program that's called OBS. And with OBS, I can have it recording whatever on my monitor at the same time in editing already. So the only thing I have to do in editing is just go back and then, cut it however I want. So, I mean, I would, if anybody, my biggest thing I could tell you, if anybody's thinking about getting into YouTube or recording stuff, don't do it. If you want to have a life and if you want to enjoy your games, don't do it. That's the best advice I can give to anybody.
Yeah.
YouTubers don't last a year. Most YouTubers don't last 6 months.
Yeah. So, quick pop questions. Here's a list of questions real quick. These are just like for people to get to know you and understand you and see who you are a little bit. Question. So, what's your favorite food?
I don't know. It's not like I have a favorite anything. I don't have favorite colors, favorite nothing like that. Favorite food? I don't know. I guess I like this chicken that my mom makes, and she wraps it with like ham and cheese, and then you cook it, but it's got like a herb with like a buttery sauce on the outside. So when it comes out, it's almost like a loaf, and then you cut it, and then when you cut it, it looks like medallions but with stuff in it. Sometimes you can put also prunes on the inside with ham, and it's really good.
All right.
I think that's my favorite food.
All right. The next question is, what is your favorite soda pop?
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. All right. Here's another question for you. What is your favorite movie?
But I haven't drank soda pop in a long time. Movie?
Yes.
I don't know. I go back, like, if my favorite serious movie, if you can call it serious movie, would be True Romance. I love that movie. I think that movie is awesome up and down. I have something with Tron Legacy. I don't know if it's just a combination of the whole aspect and concept of it, and with this awesome soundtrack in that movie, that I can watch that movie endless amount of times. I've seen it so many times. But, there's not many good movies that come out the other day. I just saw last night, I watched... what's the new the Panther, Black Panther? I don't know what everybody's raving about that movie. It's okay, but it's not. I didn't see anything to where it's so great. I don't know.
All right. So here's the next one. What is your favorite band and song?
Band. Well, I'm really big into Nirvana. I think they're one of my favorite bands. But I have to 9 Inch Nails or 9 Inch Nails is right up there. Favorite song? Man Who Sold the World by David Bowie. I think Nirvana did a cover of it, and that's my favorite song.
They did, actually.
I think I would go with that.
All right.
Tool is another one of my favorite bands, too. But that's just, I have a lot of favorite bands.
Yeah. So, what's your dream place? What's your dream place to travel to for a vacation? Anywhere in the world, even anywhere in the universe.
Well, I'm going to Colombia here in May,
Colombia.
so that's going to be awesome. I love going there. I have so many good stories about going there. It's so awesome. The people are really nice, and I have a lot of family down there. So I'm going to be going. I haven't set a date yet for sure, but sometime in the summer. But if I can choose anywhere to go in the world,
In the
I would want to
universe.
try to
In
go
the
to
universe.
like, well,
The
where I can
moon,
breathe the air.
Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, Mexico,
I
Canada.
don't think there's a better planet out there than Earth because all the planets are so desolate, kinda. There's no life anywhere that we know of. So it would have to be somewhere on Earth, and I think I would want to go either to Dubai or just to check out the cool city, or somewhere in Japan. I think that'd be pretty neat. So I would love to go do that. Or maybe a European vacation. That would be cool too. Like go to the Vatican.
Yeah. And the last question that I have for you that goes off of these pop quick questions is, do you think man will be to Mars or beyond that by 2025?
No way by 2025. I think if we make it by 2035, that'd be doing pretty good. There's no way they're gonna make it by 2025. The moon, maybe. Mars, definitely not for sure.
Do you think it'll be a NASA, the Russia space
No,
program, or do you think it'll be
companies.
SpaceX, or who do you think is going to take man to the next step in space travels?
Well, it's definitely going to be one of like SpaceX or one of their competitors. I think for right now, this reusable space shuttle, or at least some of the components, has to be.
Spacecraft, not a shuttle. The shuttle program has ended.
Yeah, some of these components that they're using for liftoff and something like that, and they went back to they got away from the whole shuttle idea. Well, this was so expensive, and they went back to more like rockets. And now that they can actually reuse a lot of these parts on the rocket, I think are a great idea. So that's the only way that they're going to be able to sustain, and as long as they can keep structuring it up so it can grow and grow and grow. So, and they just had another liftoff tonight. And you saw the quick turnaround that they had. They did another Falcon 9 liftoff
Actually,
tonight.
they used a different rocket because last time it was a Falcon Heavy, I believe.
Yeah, this was just a Falcon 9.
Yeah, the Falcon 9 is a little smaller. It doesn't carry such a heavy load. Last time was actually the first time I believe they used a Heavy, and I'm actually really proud of SpaceX. They've been doing things that we haven't done in a long time, and I see us going. I personally think we'll make it to the moon. We'll make it to travel around the moon at least within the next year or two. There's no doubt. I see it happening. That the technology is there, the money's there, the funding and the need and want is there as well. So, on that, I agree with you. Like, I think Mars is further than we think. I think we're getting too ahead of ourselves. Thinking we'll be at Mars by 2022, what they're saying. But I do think we'll be back to the moon sooner.
I just want to know what this big push is to go to Mars. I mean, what do they hope on finding there that we don't really already kind of know?
Well, Elon Musk believes that it is in the human's best interest to colonize other countries in case of the world comes to an end, which I don't believe that's going to happen anytime soon, but it's wise, smart, and it's thinking outside the box. So, to move on from this and ask you the last thing is, do you have a plug and you would like to say anything about your YouTube channel or playing games or giveaways or anything like that?
Well, my YouTube channel is just enjoying or not enjoying, and sometimes, but right now the only thing I got going is my Apex Construct contest, and I've made it really easy. And every video that I have now till Saturday, because Sunday is the drawing, I basically give people an opportunity if they want, and they can just say something and mention in the comments, say, hey, I want to be in the contest, and I will. I had a special. If you pay attention to the whole video, sometimes there'll be bonus entries. But that's just some little fun that I have.
And what is your YouTube channel and your Twitter name so my listeners can check you out?
Gaming in Still Life.
All right. And is that for both of them? Is that your handle for Twitter as well?
That is the same handle for Twitter. Gaming in Still Life. So you can definitely check it out. And I usually do a repodcast that with the video version of this on my channel. I think you do the audio only, correct?
Yeah. We do a podcast at This is a Geek Out. I just want to thank you for joining me for this quick podcast today.
Cool, anytime.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you on, and I like having you on, and I see us going further with this. Just want to thank everybody for watching, and for that, I want to appreciate everything you've done so far for the community, Rich. You've done a great thing. You're helping people get out, and you're giving people a lot of advice with VR, and I think that's a great step, and you're doing great things with yourself. So I just want to appreciate everything you've done, and thank you. Without that, let's hear this out. That was a podcast. This is a Geek Out, and I appreciate everybody for joining me, and I'll see you next time.